We take an oscillator out and put it into the mixer, we should get that. If we put something into the mixer, for example, a sequencer, we should get your basic sequence. Now then, if we take the oscillator output, that's the bottom hole down here, we take this and put it into the multiple there. We take our multiple and join it to this DIV 2HP DIV, and then this is a clock divider / multiplier. And now we should see that this light is blinking in tandem with this. They should be the same tempo. And if we, if we slow this down, the light should So now we have a clock coming out into a multiple, and it's set into here. Now we want to send that to the reason we're using a multiple is because we have to send the clock to something else. Now when people do this professionally, when they're Berliners, they've usually got a master clock, either from a DAW or from MPC or from some expensive piece of PAMS. A master clock which distributes things everywhere. We're just going to use the clock in here. And it will work after a fashion. And let's see. Okay, now this, which is painted up with my hippie paint job, is actually Behringer steps. And because this yellow light is on, we're using this as a sample and hold. Now, it's worth noting that there's a sample and hold right here. And I've tried this, and I can't get as much out of it. I've finally gotten it to work, but it's very sensitive, very touchy, and the range of patterns you can derive from it, at least the way I'm using it, are not that interesting. I can get more cool stuff out of something like this. Don't know why. Maybe it's because it's got a pretty high output voltage-wise, so it's exciting things better. Not really sure. So we now have a clock going into the gate of this. It is shared, and it's shared through the multiple with the timer and with this thing. The idea is that this should blink at the same time. Now if I slow this down, it's speeding up, and I'm changing this clock again down here. So the next thing we want is for this input on the on this sample and hold. It requires, and they all do, all the sample and holds, they need white noise to get them going. So we'll just use the white noise out of this because it's handy, it's here. So that's that part of it, and now we need to take the output of this. And you do need a sample and hold for this method. We're going to put that into the input of the attenuator, and you will need an attenuator. And now this attenuator, here's the output of that. And that, oddly enough, is going to come right back in here to the clock multiplier divider. And it goes into the rate control. Now mostly you'll see this dope for 106-A or -5 or something used, quite common. I just couldn't find one handy at the time. I ended up with this. So our random voltage is coming out, going through the attenuator, and this is how we're going to control the ratcheting such that it is through this rate control here. And now, to get that rate control to actually do something, we're going to take the output of that And it should be apparent that this is blinking, kind of erratically nowadays. So we can put that into our gate down here. I'll turn this gate all the way down, and now we should have something. It sounds like that pop band from the 80s. Sweet dreams are made of this. That was unintentional. Sorry about that. Now you'll have that stuck in your head for the next 10 years. So there it is. That's our basic sequence, unaffected. And as we turn this up, and the balance between these two, if I turn this down to 2, so if you wanted to snap it between 2 different variations, and the higher you turn this master gain up, see, with this on 4 and this on 3, we don't get any ratcheting. And if I just bump it a little bit, this is always going to be sensitive here. And I think we can change this. See, it does take some kind of fiddling to get this to where it's not to where it's kind of semi-random, to where it's ratcheting on different steps. The ratcheting begins on different steps, kind of thing. Now for grins, let's see if we can do this using this sample and hold. So to try this, we're going to take our output from the sample and hold here, S and H out, and let's see. And that still goes in there. And we put this onto noise, and what happens? This is quite a bit fussier if you ask me. Now let's try, now it's worth noting that our clock divider, it's not dividing or multiplying. So if we want to... Now that's just made the whole sequence run faster. So if I slow the master clock down here, I'm still using a multiple. It does sound like that song, doesn't it? Oh, damn. Now, I didn't have any luck using this as a clock. Here's the external clock in. Hear the reverb when I turn that up? I don't know where that comes from. This tank isn't hooked up to anything. There's no reverb in any of this. This isn't plugged into anything, so where could that come from? So as you can hear, that's kind of choppy, and there's probably ways to get around that. We could probably try something like this. I'm just not... Anyway, you get the idea, I think. It's a start. It's not perfect, but it's a start.